just remember trying to sink into myself and to just make myself as small as I could. Like the process for, especially for someone who's been struggling for a long time and, you know, is at a particular age where.
Hello and welcome to Grow Together with Eve. I'm Eve and I have my lovely, beautiful sister with me, and we're going to be talking about her journey to health and wellness of her age. I love reading y'all's comments and I love hearing from you guys, and I've noticed that a majority of my friends are older than me, and this is probably why. Do you want to tell them how old you are?
Yes, I'm blessed to be the age I am. I'm 52 years young.
Yes.
So I am.
So true.
I'm 14 years older than my youngest sister.
Yes.
So she's probably thought of me as her mom forever.
No, I haven't. Like you never were that way with me. And so I am, if you've been kind of hanging out with me for a while, this is probably why. You're probably like, well, why am I watching this 37-year-old girl? It's because I'm used to talking to people who are older than me. It's just my life. But I want to talk to Crystal and share her, as I said, with you, because her story is, I mean, to be her baby sister, of course, or younger sister, of course, it's amazing and inspiring to me, but I know it would be inspiring to others as well. So I just wanted to share your journey with others. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's just start off with the main thing with your journey. It's been physical health, financial health, and I don't know, what was it? It's a third pillar too, right? Are those the main?
Emotional.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess where would you like to start? Would you say, would you tie most of those things back to like adolescence, childhood
and adolescence?
Okay. Okay. Can you give them a little understanding about your background? Because of course we're 14 years in a gap. Mom was in a different stage of life in your childhood than she was with me. So can you kind of just paint that picture?
Well, for me, I was born in the South, so in Alabama, and I was although Mom was younger, so my grandma, my grandfather had a lot to do with my upbringing. So I did have a good foundation with eating. So we ate healthy meals that were cooked, so good Southern cooking. So that stick to your bones kind of cooking. But I was not overweight child. I was very active. So that helped me really, good. And I would just have to say that once we moved to Chicago, away from those elders who cook like that.
Okay.
It's kind of like where some of our problems began.
Okay. So it would probably be the opposite of what most people think, that because from me growing up in the Midwest, it was a thought like if you ate Southern home cooked meals, you were thick around the thighs kind of thing. But for you it was the opposite, because it's like you had home cooked meals and then you started going to fast. It was like fast food
not, I love mom. Mom was like a single mom, and so she worked a lot. And so we would eat fast foods, very, quick processed meals that were really quick, to cook. And so, I could say probably in teenagers, I started to pick up more weight than I should. So I didn't feel like I was overweight, but some kind of way, I guess in my mom's mind.
In mom's mind, she was. And so talk about, because you said in mom's mind. So I grew up with mom. So our mother likes to share her mind. So tell us kind of just maybe some of the things that stuck with you, maybe with her in her relationship with your weight? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think? What seeds were planted?
The earliest is like, I remember fad diets you put me on. Like this one diet, the 10 diet. So one day it's like 10 boiled eggs. The second day it's like 10 hot dogs.
Oh wow!
And then like 10 bananas. I don't know where she got that from.
Oh my goodness!
And
wait, what year was this? Like what?
I was in the youth choir.
Okay.
Because that Sunday and that last day, the hot dogs, I was sick in the choir stand.
Oh my goodness! But so this would have been what, like the late 80s or what?
No, even like early 80s.
Early
80s. Yeah.
Okay. So early 80s.
Mhm.
This, if you have heard of this diet, comment below and tell us what the name, like where you heard it from.
I was in middle school.
You were in middle school.
I was in middle school.
So you were in middle school and she put you on a diet.
Yeah.
Okay.
A diet. So.
You didn't ask.
No.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just making
So
sure that they understand.
Right.
Like,
So before that, I had no concept that there was anything wrong.
do you
with
even
it.
know how much you weigh? Do you remember?
No, all I can go by is by pictures. So maybe, I've always been, of course, like the tallest person.
Okay,
in my
so
group.
let's talk about that. How tall are you now?
I'm 6 feet tall.
You're 6 feet tall. So in middle school, you probably was like my height.
Probably.
And I'm 5'8". So you probably was like 5'8" in middle
I was
school.
tall.
Because I remember being tall. I felt tall at like 5'5" in 5th grade. So, but you were tall. And we don't know how much you weighed, but the thing is, you were in middle school and your mom put you on a fad diet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that kind of paints the picture of the background. Anything else you would add on to like the dynamic?
And learning that, of course, you do a good job, so you get rewarded with food.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest, and that was from everyone. That wasn't just like mom. That was going to, in the South, every house you go to, you were invited to eat.
Yes, it was culture.
And so, consequently, you did something good, or you sweet little girl, you got some sweets. You got something.
And then that would have continued on when mom married dad.
Mm-hmm.
That because he's a school teacher. He rewarded that. Well, was he a school teacher when he first came into your life? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that would have been something engraved in him too, because I remember him doing like, if we had been good that week, we would have like pizza on the weekend.
He would take us. That was like an awesome treat. We would go to Aurelio's, and then we would go to the ice cream parlor
or popcorn.
Yeah, those are all. So not only that, was it tied to rewards, but of course it's tied to familial activities and social gatherings and the church.
Yeah, church, and we spent a lot of time in church.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in church, and consequently, as I grew older and went from children's to youth choir to the young adult choir, we were very active in the church. So we would go to choir competitions, or you would go, we would to all over the city, and quite often you would be in church all day long. You would get out of church late, and then you stop in somewhere quick to get something to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yes, until later that some of the young people started saying like, why are we not cooking? Right. There's a kitchen at the church. Why are we not cooking? And that came from the young people saying something. Yes. I remember that being like a big deal.
It was
and it was like almost some pushback about that too.
And that was by the time we got to our 20s though. So.
And y'all were in y'all's, and so that's really late.
Right.
So that's kind of a foundation. Now in your 20s, let's talk about what you studied in undergrad, because I feel like your education probably added even more awareness to your childhood and your upbringing and things like that. So can you tell them like what you studied, what you do for a living, things of that nature?
Okay. So undergraduate, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. So of course, psychology, you really taking those courses, looking at, motivations for doing things, what they're rooting in, what, why you do the things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And also had a bachelor's degree in history. And
which is the study of the past.
Right. So looking at patterns, it's very important to look at patterns as to why things happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what led you here and then why, you know. And then grad school, I have a master's in social work. So, you know, again, very strenuous courses, and learning good study habits is good. Now, the reason why I put that way is because I had to learn. I would have so many cram sessions, and of course, what do you feed yourself with a cram session?
Junk, potato chips,
you know, and
coffee.
Coke and coffee, and you know, Volts. All those things.
Volts?
Oh yeah, I mean,
is that
it's
like
a high, yes, and Mountain Dew. So it's a very high sugary, you know, drinks, and grad school really packed on, you know. So at least I, you know, did fairly good undergrad for grad school, because I was not only going to school during the day full time, I was working nights. At full time. I went to school all day and I had an internship, and then at night I worked in a group home. So I worked a night shift in a group home, and of course, more caffeine, more Coke, you know, more fast foods. So that was the first major weight gain that I saw. May have been the first time I went over 300 pounds. So all of those things, you know, make it more difficult, because it's like you're fighting your own self-image, and then the things that people are saying, whether they call themselves being helpful or, you know, it's just like, that's not helping. And then so those things, you know, impact you as well, you know. You know, just really to reinforce those negative behaviors, because when you find yourself turning to food emotionally for the positives, also when you're down and you're negative, you know, when you are feeling bad about yourself, you reach for, you know, for the food too.
And do you think that may have also connected to financial health too? Like, did that ever?
It definitely didn't help, because it didn't help you like save money. You know, waste a lot of money eating out. And at a certain age, especially, you know, after grad school, and me and my friends and we did not eat cheap.
We guys were fancy.
Right. Like, I went to Carson's in downtown Chicago for some ribs, you know, or we went to Benihana's, or we went to Webb's Steakhouse, or the Grand Lux. So most definitely, we weren't, you know.
That's and these are all fancy places in downtown Chicago.
And so, of course, you know, we were, you know, just out kicking it around the house. Of course, we would be at Applebee's or someplace like that. But still, we're not going to like McDonald's. No.
You weren't eating at McDonald's.
No, we weren't.
And that would have been when you were beginning your financial history. So like, this is in your 20s.
Yeah, so
this is when like people are really kind of starting their foundation financially.
Right. Okay. And as far as, you know, of course, I always had a terrific work ethic. So almost from the beginning, I've always held 2 jobs. So I never wanted to be in a tight situation. To live like so far above my means. However, I could have saved a lot of money and been a lot more, you know, well off than, you know.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't
if
that
I had
better
saving habits, and better if I was more responsible with my money.
Yeah. Okay.
So food did cost.
What was the final like push?
Well, of course, health. Borderline diabetes, but I really felt like the numbers, I was diabetic. I had trainers like, you're diabetic. So pain and numbness in my feet.
Okay.
Like, you know, real constant pain.
Okay.
You know, in my feet. Sleep apnea.
Uh-huh.
Hypertension that was just sometimes it seemed like it was uncontrollable.
Okay.
You know, and definite like uncomfortable. I went to Dubai. Right, there was of course those seats are small and they're kind of uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But I was sitting next to, on the ride back, a lady who was herself overweight. And so we were both sitting next to, and this lady made the biggest fuss. And I was like, oh my God, is she, you know, she was speaking another language. And I'm like, she was really demanding that they get me out of the seat. And I was like, oh my God, what do I put, because the plane was packed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so fearful that they were going to put me off this plane.
Oh,
and they
wow.
made us sit there together. And I just remember trying to sink into myself and to just make myself as small as I could.
Appease her. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it was so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And
let's talk, because I've not been to
seats, oh
Dubai.
my God.
How long was this flight?
that particular flight, it was 2 legs of it.
Mm-hmm.
So all in all, I think that the total flight time may have been like 12, 14 hours.
That's torment.
Right. So it was.
That's 12 or 14
then, you know,
hours.
of course, narrow seat, and then, well, not to mention, because baby, that was like the second one, because Jerusalem. On the way back from Jerusalem, this lady wanted to extend her seat all the way back, and I stood most of that flight. So that, you know, that was better than sitting in a seat. So I can just tell you some.
Oh my goodness.
So it's been a
And
couple
so,
times.
okay, so then we don't have time to,
Right,
tell,
we
to
really
tell
don't.
you all the
Oh.
things, but just so you know, I have 2 older sisters that, well, I have many older sisters,
Right.
but my 2 older sisters from my mom love to travel. Like, I don't know, the only continent you haven't touched is what, Australia?
Right. Not yet. I want to. But
Okay, and what?
Your middle sister has.
Okay, so
And-
she's touched more of the world, but so they do a lot of traveling. So for them to do a lot of traveling, it is something that is for your wellness, because you are a history buff. You
Right,
like to see the world.
Yes.
You're very cultured. You're very respectful for other people's cultures, and for you to have to endure. I'm sorry, that's trauma. For how I'm not literally a social worker, but I know that's trauma.
It has been. It has
that's
been
a
comments.
long,
Very just. Yeah.
long flight to kind of be aware of someone else and not be comfortable. So, like, that is the point that I want you to be aware of. It wasn't just having to take medication. It wasn't just the pain.
It was the
But-
you know, just all those things.
All those things. In the end, a hindrance of something that brought you joy.
Right.
Okay, so that was kind of like the last push.
Yes.
And so what tools did you start to implement from there?
From there, you know, probably the first thing I did begin to look at my diet, and I did not want to do any more diets, because I've tried Jenny Craig, I have tried South Beach, I have Atkins, yes.
Mhm.
I mean, so I've tried it, Weight Watchers, and I've had a modicum of success, but being able to maintain those things has always been the thing. I can get up and I exercise. That's probably what saved me more than anything.
Because you were athletic in high school.
Yes,
You
I
were
was
on
athletic.
like shot put, track
Yes,
and all that.
so and I was an active kid. I
Yeah.
rode my bike. I roller skated.
Mhm.
Even into teenage and young adulthood, we went roller skating. So I was active. That saved me. Because I like to eat and I like good food, but it does save me because I exercise and I like activities.
Yeah.
I love a good roller coaster. It hurt. That was the next thing that hurt my heart when I got so big I couldn't fit into a seat of a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was, another big one.
Yeah.
I wanted a lifestyle change. I didn't want a diet. I wanted a lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm.
So I, initially did the vegan.
Mm-hmm.
and then I start looking at like what the health, and looking at some things. I was like, yes, and then when I did it, I'm like, I lost weight and I felt better. So I remember that. Although I gained some weight back after, because I lost about 40, 50 pounds doing it. And, eventually I did break that and go back to eating meat. And
but it was a holiday
that threw me off. But I remember that, because your brain, you remember that, your body remembers those things as well, how they felt better. Initially, I knew it had to be at the table. I knew it had to be with eating.
Okay.
Initially. And then addictions. Okay. I knew that's when clinical things, I was like, came into play. I was like, this is a food addiction. And I'm like, I have to deal with that. And so I got a book on food addiction and recovery. And of course, being a social worker, you need your group that's going to be with you and that's going to support you. So we got a couple social worker friends, and we began to look at that together, because we all had those same things of a certain age. All of us, I think I'm the youngest of that group. So they, another one of my friends, she's like probably in her mid to late 50s, and then the other two ladies are in their early to mid 60s.
Okay. So you have your support.
Yes.
You're of peers.
Exactly.
And
all dealing with those same kind of issues.
And probably the same they have the same work experience, because I see that with a lot of social workers because of y'all's hours and what y'all deal with helping other people, that sometimes weight can be a struggle.
Yes, because of the stress of it, and then you're often taking care of everybody else and not taking care of yourself last.
Yeah. So even if you're not a social worker, that also sounds like motherhood, grandmotherhood,
exactly.
Or if you're a father, same thing. So being in that situation, you got your tools, you got your support, but then you started taking it to paper too.
Exactly.
What were your paper tools?
Those were my planner journals. So I found an awesome planner journal, which really, it implemented like your spirituality along with the psychology of the thing, where you can really sit down and map out what your goals, and then it has some mind mapping, which is a psychological tool.
Okay.
So, and I like it because it goes from the day to the week, to the month, and then 3 months, and then it gives you an opportunity to reflect on in that week which is what we do in therapy. So look at this week. What were your positive outcomes? What could you change?
So an assessment of what your time
of that week was,
and it's like a deadline time, kind of call to action kind of thing, because you've got set times to come back, right?
Exactly. And we have to, when I do like a treatment plan for someone, I have to make a measurable goal, which is a goal that can be achieved, and you can measure it. Therefore, you can give an accurate give an accurate account of whether or not you met that goal. And then and if you didn't, well, where did you fall short on that? And then so this would be what we need to tweak and what we need to make sure we implement, for next week. So awesome, journal and doing that. And inside of that journal, there were blank pages. So for your vision board, because that's also a great tool, because we're, most of us are visual. We have visual learners. And I know I'm a visual learner. We have auditory. Some people are auditory learners, different modes of learning, but I'm very visual. So being able to see your goal, where you want to see yourself, and the tools and things that are germane to you that you can see very clearly where you want to go. And so of course you do that with your pictures of foods that you want to implement into your diet. Whatever physical activity. So I found kickboxing. I really love it. I got to get back to it. But I had a picture of a boxer who had the type that's similar to mine, and a body shape which could be achievable, for me. And jump roping. I loved it. I used to double dutch.
I remember the late night double dutch in the street. Yes.
Yes. So those are things that were, very active that I love. The bike riding. I would be gone all day on my bike ride. So I had pictures of those things.
Okay.
To get me back, into motivation. So then I pulled out my bike.
Yeah. And
took it to the shop, and got it in shape, got it built up in shape.
So that you can ride.
So I can ride, and I started back riding my bike. So I started off, like I said, with the diet, and I know that for spiritual and to break sugar cravings, especially, it's always good to start off with a fast, and you can, of course, talk to your doctor about what kind of fasting you can stand.
Okay.
I've always been able to fast. So I started off with a fast. And then it brings not only breaking physically the sugar craving and food cravings, but spiritually breaking down. Because we're spiritual beings, and my faith is very important to me, so I know how important fasting is.
Yeah.
So taking that opportunity to break those chains and those habits, and then, those cravings.
Yeah.
I started the year off with, like I said, those tools, looking at the addiction, and I did finally decide last year to do the weight loss surgery. And
so that was like a year of doing it prior, because even if you hadn't done that on your own, a doctor would have required you to do some work on your own. Period.
And I, like I said, I knew that it was an emotional, and then that addiction, that food addiction, and that has to be dealt with.
Yes.
Because one of the things that I'm glad in doing the research, I researched and found out, and I was watching my 500-pound life.
Yeah.
That, okay, once the food is gone, they were picking up other addictions, because addiction is addiction.
Right.
If you have an addictive personality and you have not dealt with whatever that is emotionally that led you to that addiction, then then maybe I'll go to shopping. Other things like
smoking,
sex addiction, smoking. Addictive personality is an addictive personality if you have not dealt with that.
Right. So you did the work beforehand. And you got what type of weight loss surgery? The gastric sleeve. Okay. Can you explain what that is? Like, what do basically the long and short of what they do?
So basically, with the gastric sleeve, they go in and cut off most of your stomach, and it's like a little sleeve, so like a little banana, but it's very small, pouch. And they detach the stomach and suture it back up, and nothing is disconnected. So that was why I preferred that to like a gastric bypass. Okay. So I'm still able to have my food broken down through my small intestines, large intestines. So none of those things were disconnected. They just made my stomach smaller. From what I could guess, now the largest I could see from the scale, I think the largest I may have been was like 374 pounds. Okay. I think at one point I got bigger than that. I just didn't want to look at the scale. Yeah. So a month, I had to weigh myself like a month right before I went to, do the surgery. I weighed 362. Okay. So, and I was going up and down. I had gone down, and of course we had to shut in. Okay. And I had picked up, because who did you locked in all day? What going on? Cope. Right. And so I had picked up some weight that I had lost, because I had at least lost like 20 pounds. Okay. So I know that I had maybe gone to like closer to 350. And then, the shut in. So I picked up maybe about 10 pounds. So 361, like, as I weighed myself, like, 3 weeks before the surgery. Okay. So the day of the surgery, I weighed 340. Okay. Because I lost 30 pounds and that's because you had to go on a liquid fast for just about 3 weeks. I ended up doing it for about 3 weeks.
Okay. And then after, how much would you say? Has it only been weight, or has there been other measurables of success?
So I have lost 100 pounds. And inches, I haven't really kept up with the inches yet. I need to start, really with the inches.
Well, your feet.
Oh yeah.
Has that in your sleep?
My sleep is so much better. I don't sleep with a CPAP machine, and
which is huge for most people who have sleep apnea.
And that was the other thing that was really super scary. How many times I fell asleep driving on the expressway? Yeah. I've fallen asleep on the expressway, and I've found myself like driving like 35 miles an hour. On the expressway. And I look up, and there are cars way ahead, and I look back, and there's cars way behind me, and I'm the only one there. Yeah. On a busy afternoon going home in Atlanta traffic.
So it makes you feel like, what was I doing
to make all those cars distance and separate from me?
Yeah. That's scary.
That's very scary.
Yeah, that's very scary.
So that was another big one. That I was like, I have got to do something. And that happened to me, like I said,
more than once.
More than once. And I just know it was the angels of the Lord that kept me. Yeah. Because more than once did that happen to me.
Yeah. So those are some huge wins in my book. I would say, from learning from your story and from your advice, really finding the positives of what you enjoy and like moving towards those things have been like the keys or the nuggets of wisdom that you've given me, as well as the cautioning of not wanting to have to take medication. We've lost loved ones that we, our great aunts, to the lifestyles of having to take like high cholesterol medication and, all the other things.
Yeah, our grandmother and our aunt stroked.
Yeah, they had strokes. So those things, besides it just being like, oh, this is how I look, or this is how much I weigh. Like, those have been a real tool.
If I have to, that was a way distant, thing for me. Right. The most important thing was to be healthy. Yeah. And to get back to a point where I can do the things that I love. Those were way, overshadowing anything else. And I'm in the middle of my journey. And that's why another reason why I chose to do the extra help with the weight loss, because I had over 200 pounds to lose, because I want to weigh like 175. So I still have like maybe 100 pounds that I want to lose. Yeah. And which has been really, I went from like a 26 and I'm weighing a 16 now, so I'm really happy about that. I'm happy, of course. So I'm still.
And we can share clothes.
Right. I know, who would have ever thought that? And oh my God, I, just came back from California and was able to gush with you. Like, I don't even know if in telling you, people knew how significant it is to walk down the aisle of an airplane without touching and bumping into people. And I told you that, and I was just like, I didn't have to have a seat extender. I could sit in the seat without touching.
I remember that moment. And again, because that circles it back to what was trauma from coming back from Dubai. Right. So it's not just like solely that one thing of, oh, I can go down the airport, but this is something that you love to do, and then you got to have that win moment of like, I can be here and not touch anybody. Yes. Like, so that connects to that moment coming back from Dubai. Yes. Like, that's your win, like your peace of, I can do this and not have to have that situation. Exactly. Again, as your sister, my happy moment for you, like celebrating you, you and and our other sister, like, you guys have always been like I'm always so proud of y'all's accomplishments, your education, your you guys do careers that help other people. You know, our sister with their physical health, you with emotional and social health. And so the fact that you guys went to huge universities, were successful, African American women period, but the extra icing on the top, African American women, successful, doing major things, great things in your fields. The moment that I got to hand you your old college sweatshirt, that, cause like, y'all, she told me to throw it away, like, what, in 2005 maybe? Like, I was living with y'all after I graduated from college, and she was like, just go take that to Goodwill or something. And I was like, I am not taking this to Goodwill, because we are a faith family and we believe that your words have power. And I was like, she's going to wear this sweatshirt again. Like, I'm not taking this back. I'm just gonna not listen. And I'm going to hide this. I wore it a couple times, I'm not gonna lie. But I was like, I'm gonna hide this. I'll wear it in private a couple times. But because going to your school was so, like, great memories for me. Like, it exposed me to the big city. It exposed me to other cultures, because you had roommates from different countries, from like Malaysia and Sweden. And they treated me like I was their baby sister. So I had so many good memories in seeing you accomplish things, that sweatshirt meant so much as your little cheerleader, to like hand that back to you and be like, you can wear this again. And so, like, I just want to encourage you. I'm sharing this story to encourage you. Whatever your wellness is, wherever you can see yourself in Crystal's story, know that there is someone somewhere waiting for you to win, so that they can celebrate it with you. So think of yourself, think of your moment, your walking through the aisles of an airplane moment. Vision, that needs to be on a vision board. So whatever that is for you, think of that. And also think of that moment, envision that moment of your cheerleader, whoever's in your life that loves to talk to you about things that you've encouraged and that they want to see you win. Think about that moment where they get to celebrate you, because it's going to mean as much to you as it means to them. And I want to wrap it up on that, because I just think that's just the best part of it all.
It is. It was awesome. I was so happy when you brought it. I had forgot about it, of course.
You forgot?
Yeah, I forgot about it. I was like, oh my God, okay. Yeah. Like, oh my God.
Yes.
And I don't have another sweatshirt from it.
No. So if you live in Chicago and you're by University of Illinois in Chicago, you can go ahead and look at my address. Happy Mail, send her a sweatshirt. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like for me, I my university, I can't fit right now. I can't fit any of those t-shirts. I'm a year away from having a baby, so I'm okay with that in this season right now, because I know I will get back, because you and my sister are encouraging me.
Yes.
But I have like 20 t-shirts, because that was a thing. Yeah. Like, you guys would be like, you got a t-shirt? Did you get a t-shirt? So, like, yes. Okay, we're gushing on about t-shirts, but I hope you found some tools, you learned some things that you can take and utilize it for your personal growth. Where can the people follow you at? Because I know you are starting up on social media, where you're encouraging people from your work experience, from your wellness experience. Where can they follow you?
Well, right now on Instagram and LinkedIn, Healing You First.
Healing You First. Okay.
Healing You First.
That's so profound. Make sure you go find it. I'll link it below. Thank you so much for watching this video. And until next time, remember to keep growing. Bye.
Bye.